Hi, I'm Corinne Brew. I'm living now in Austin, Texas, but in 2015 and 2016, I was living and working in Pachuca at the university there. And the project that I was tasked with was to figure out what were the skills that our English teachers at the university needed after they had finished their degree or after they had taught for a while. So we put together a group. It was about half of it was people working at Dewey at that time. Today it's called the Language Center, but about half of them came from there. And then the other half were actual classroom teachers, and they came from lots of different disciplines. We had people all of us were English teachers, but we had taught in different places. Some were from had law school students, some had social scientists, some had engineers, and we all came together and we spent time trying to figure out what were the most critical things for people to know and to learn. And out of that developed the building effective teaching. Later on we added two additional courses and we called those Building Effective Teaching 2 and Building Effective Teaching 3. And you might know it even as an acronym BET, because a lot of people call it BET, Building Effective Teaching. So as I got ready to do this video, this introductory video for the online class, I went back to 4 people who have taught the course from the very beginning. And I did a little interview with them, asked them several questions. And the people that I talked with were Laura Lopez Gonzalez, Vero Espino, Claudia Hernandez Hernandez, and Estela Martinez Munoz. One of the things I asked them was the training that they have done. What do they believe are the most important points about the training that they deliver? And Claudia talked about the importance for people to know that the Make It Real, the foundation for the Make It Real curriculum is the communicative approach. And she asked the question, why do we use the communicative approach? Well, the reason we use the communicative approach is because we know from language research that it is one of the most effective ways for people to learn English. So when you take the Make It Real portion of the course, you will learn more about the foundational pieces and how the curriculum was customized for the kinds of students that you have in your classroom. So it was created especially with the Hidalgo student in mind, their life experiences and their past and present experiences with learning English. When I asked Laura, who usually teaches the language teaching cycle, what she thought was the most important, she said she thinks the demo class is very important. And the reason that that's important is because what leads up to it is that the teachers actually experience what it's like to be a learner in a communicative classroom. And then they write their learning objectives and they deliver the course. They receive feedback from the facilitator and from their peers. So they get a lot of good input that Laura says people find to be very valuable. When I talked to Estela about the assessment of learning, she said she really likes the aspect of the practicality of the program. There are so many hints and tips in there for how a teacher, an English teacher, has to assess learning, which is one of the aspects we have to do it. So we often have to do it, as I call, on the fly in the classroom. And those techniques can be really helpful because, as you know, error correction can be a real touchy subject. We don't want to humiliate our students. We want to find ways to help them realize the proper and correct way without damaging their self-esteem. Vero, who teaches the STAR and does the teacher evaluations and has lots of experience there, talked about how she likes how the various aspects of the STAR all pull everything together under one umbrella. So from knowledge of subject to instructional planning, to instructional delivery, to assessment of learning, to the environment that we must create in the classroom, to the professionalism. All those aspects are what pull together to help us be even better English teachers. And I think as you take this course, you will see how all of those pieces tie together and make sense. I also asked them if they had any stories to relate of teachers who had good experiences in the classes. And one of them gave the example of one of the schools that, quite honestly, when they first began sending their teachers to the classes, their level of English and just their ability to participate was not very good. But over time, what the facilitators began to notice was that their level of English had improved so much. And so they started asking, what's going on in this school here? Because it really seems like something positive is going on. And they said that what they described was really a learning community. And what that means is that people learn from each other, that there's critique and feedback and what did you learn and what went wrong in your class today and what could you do differently, and here's something that I need help on. So all those aspects that help us as teachers by learning from each other. Another one relayed the experience of a teacher that came into the classroom, the Beck classroom, and said, I know this is based on communicative learning. I have tried communicative approach. It doesn't work. It will not work in my school. She was quite resistant to the whole thing. But the facilitator said, okay, I get where you're coming from, but will you give me a chance? Let's go with an open mind, which this teacher did. And at the end of it, what was really rewarding is she came up to the facilitator and said, I have changed my mind. I get it now. I see how we can use the communicative approach. I see how it can be very valuable for our students. Actually, she's kind of become an evangelist, telling others about the BET courses and the communicative approach, which has been a really positive experience. And I want to relay one of my experiences so that after we had taught the STAR, Vero and I went out to do some of the evaluations. Anytime that you find out someone is coming to observe your class, it makes you nervous. As many times as I have been observed, it still makes me nervous when I find out that someone is going to be sitting in on my class. So we know that it's very nerve-wracking. We try to make it as non-threatening as possible, but we know that that's something as teachers that's just hard. Our nerves kick in. But anyway, we went out to one of the schools and we observed this teacher, and he did a really nice class. And when he was finishing up the class, we sat down, Vero and I and the language coordinator, and we enumerated all of the things that he had done very well. And then we talked about, maybe the planning, I believe it was the lesson planning, we thought that he could amp that up a bit and make it even more positive. So when he came in, we gave him that feedback. We told him all the things that were positive. We asked him what he felt went well and those kinds of things. And then as we got ready to leave, he said, okay, now when am I going to get the feedback? And we said, well, this is the feedback. He said, no, you haven't told me what the bad things are. And he said, well, we think you can focus on the lesson planning. That's one area. He said, yeah, but what's the bad feedback? I'm waiting for the bad feedback. And at that point, I became aware of just how difficult it can be for teachers that we are in the classroom for many days at a time and we never receive any feedback at all. And then when we do, how horrible to go in and get such negative feedback. So that's the area that we're working on changing so that people realize this is all part of this of us all as teachers getting better through feedback. So the last thing I did was I asked them to give advice to you as the people that are going through the BET course, and one of them said, tell them to think outside the box. Tell them to be creative. That's one of the reasons we like to do language teaching, is because it does give us lots of opportunities to be creative. So this person said, really enjoy being creative, doing things different, thinking outside the box. Another one said, read the teacher's manual. There's really valuable information in there. Spend the time getting to know the curriculum so that you understand the foundational pieces and also some tips and techniques. Another one said that always plan your classes. It's really important. It's important to know what your objectives are and then to continue to plan your classes. And one of the people that I interviewed talked about the importance of an online class, how different that is from a face-to-face class. So her words of advice, because she's taken a lot of online classes, was to stay motivated. In some ways, it's more difficult to be motivated in an online class than it is in a face-to-face class, because if you're sleepy and you go into a face-to-face class, somebody else might carry the load for you. But in an online class, it's you all the time. So she really encouraged you to stay up to don't fall behind, and also to stay motivated. And my words of advice are, enjoy the journey. I haven't ever met a teacher that didn't love learning. That's why I think we go into teaching in the first place. So enjoy that, stay focused, stay positive, and enjoy the ride. Thank you. Bye-bye.